OpenAI just dropped their Agent Builder and everyone's going crazy about it, calling it the N8N killer, but it's certainly not even close. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly why that is and how to make the best use of the Agent Builder. Instead of comparing it against N8N, we'll actually connect the two using MCP to get the best of both worlds. And towards the end, I'll also showcase how we can deploy the application inside of your own platform using ChatKit and how we can customize the look and feel of the UI to match your branding. So just a very quick overview, Agent Builder is essentially a visual canvas for building multi-step agent workflows. It works in a similar fashion to N8N in a sense that you have nodes and agents that you connect together, and this is just kind of how it looks like. You have different functions here. You got the agent node, you got file search, MCP guardrails. I'm not going to cover all the different nodes in this video because a lot of people already have. What I want to focus on is the differences in the logic between Agent Builder and N8N. So from the get-go, we have a limitation when it comes to the triggers. Here we've got only the start node here, and this is how we can start conversating with our agent. And this is very different to N8N, where we have a bunch of different triggers that we're able to kickstart the conversation with. For example, you have email triggers, you can have schedule triggers that go off at certain intervals in the day or the week, you have Slack, and my favorite one is actually webhook triggers that we can basically connect via an API call from anywhere, and they have hundreds of different triggers that we're able to use to interact with our agent. So this, I believe, is a very critical thing that Agent Builder is currently missing. Another thing I want to quickly touch upon is when it comes to using the agent and testing it out before we deploy it. The only way we can do so is via chatting to the agent here inside of the UI. When it comes to actually seeing the traces of what happened in each node, we don't get to see that. So for example, I'm just going to quickly send a message. You can see the node that is currently in is getting highlighted. On the right hand side here, we'll also be seeing the thinking, and then we get the output. However, we don't actually get to see the flow of the data as it goes through the workflow. And this is something that N8N does really well, where we're able to see the specific runs in each of the nodes as it runs through the workflow. The only way we can actually see the traces is going through and looking at the logs. So inside of the different traces here, we're able to see the different runs that happened in the past and look at all of the different responses. So you can see here, we've got a response and it's going to N8N. We see the instructions, we see the output of the tools, and then we see the final reply from the agent. It's just very cumbersome and not as intuitive as N8N. So say this is also another downside to using Agent Builder. However, what they do have that works really well is being able to evaluate the different traces and the different runs that you have. For example, you can use a grader, which is basically an agent model that you give it some instruction of describing the pass and fail criteria, and then it's able to then grade the different runs. So I'm just going to go ahead and grade them all and see what happens. So my grader is looking for the agent actually calls the tools correctly and completes the actions. So let's see what it comes back with. All right, so it came back with 40%. So let's go ahead and see which ones passed and which ones failed. So for example, this one's passed because it recognizes the user's request to read the unread emails, and it worked. Let's see why this one failed. So I said hi. Because in this one, we didn't actually call any tools, it failed the test. So it's actually quite interesting. I'll definitely be playing around with this a bit more in the future. So what I'm going to focus on now is actually how we build an agent inside of the Agent Builder and connect it with N8N via MCP. So as you can see, it's a very simple setup. We have a start node at the start, we've got the main agent, and then we have the end node. And the logic is slightly different here in comparison to N8N. Every message that we send to the agent, it runs through the complete workflow. So if we send a message and we have multiple different nodes inside of the workflow, every message will actually go through the whole loop until it reaches an end node. And that's just one instance. So if we quickly look at the agent node here, I have a very super basic prompt, your helpful assistant that works for Ahmed. You have access to tools to carry out different functionalities, gather all the necessary data before calling the specific tool. And I just said you're funny and casual. Here I'm using the GPT-5 model. And this is another downside to using Agent Builder. We're only limited to OpenAI models. However, there is a very large range of different models that we're able to pick from OpenAI, but this is something to also keep in mind. For the reasoning, I just put it as load. You're able to select which reasoning level depending on the complexity of the agent. And the main part is I want to look at is the MCP. So if you just click add here, you're able to see the different kind of tools that we're able to give to the agent. Another limitation is we don't have the HTTP node tool, which is one of the most robust tools that N8N provides us with to be able to talk with any application that has an API. But we do have our MCP servers. We've got file search, which is like basic RAG, web search, code interpreter, and we can create our own functions and custom tools. What I want to focus on is creating the MCP server. So they already have integrated a bunch of connectors already, but I found out they don't really have many scopes available. So for the Gmail node, we're only able to search messages and read recent emails. We're not able to actually send out emails. So it's very limited when it comes to the different integrations that they currently have, but I can see this improving over time. There's also other third-party servers that we're able to connect with, Stripe, API, Shopify, and whatnot. What we need to do is create a new server, and this is where we enter the information to be able to connect the agent builder to N8N. So if we go inside of N8N, this is the setup that I have, which uses a MCP server. This is a demo of a personal assistant, which I know is not the most powerful or useful agent, but it really does help us learn the different components that make up an agent, and it does a job for the purpose of the demo. So we have the different types of tools that we're able to connect. So the first one here, we've got a sub workflow, and this tool I've used in the past for voice agents, and it's a very simple tool that basically goes ahead, checks the calendar for the next available slots, and basically does some filtering, extractions, formats the response, and sends it back to the agent. And I wanted to show you this because it can be very powerful to build out a very complex workflow that we can use as a tool. And next we have the to-do list, which here I'm using Asana to basically create my to-do list. So I've got a project inside of Asana. This is how it currently looks like. So it's a very simple project. We've got a to-do list, go gym, edit video, start client project. And what we're doing, we have 3 different tools to create a task, get the to-do list. So we search all of the to-do list, and then we can update a specific task. And finally, we've got 2 tools to manage our emails. We can send out an email and we can get the unread emails from our Gmail account. So this just gives you a quick overview of the kind of stuff we're able to integrate with the MCP server. And then we can give all these tools to the agent to have access to perform different kinds of tasks. To continue with the setup, what we want to do is create the MCP server trigger. What we want to do is essentially just give it a path. Here I've called the Agent Builder tools. Ideally, you also want to add some security and create in some authentication. I would go with header auth, and this actually ties in really well with the authentication from Agent Builder side. So in this section, you go down to custom headers, and then you're able to have the header and the value, which ties into the header authentication configuration inside of N8N. So I'm not going to do that for this demo, but all we need is the production URL. We copy this and we paste that one into here. We can give it a label. So make sure you add some description, and then we have the authentication, and we're able to connect here at the bottom. So I'm not going to do that because I already have mine set up. At the end, you're able to see something like this where you have approvals. So in my setup, I've selected never require approval for any of the tool, just to keep things flowing smoothly. You can also set it to always, or you can have it configured on a specific tool basis. Then we can see all the different tools that are connected to the MCP. And the cool thing is you're able to create a widget specific to that tool. So a cool idea would be, for example, with the get calendar availability, is to create a widget that actually showcases the different events in a nicely formatted UI. So to do this, you're able to go to the widget builder here. And if we look at the gallery, for example, this one here will be really cool for the calendar. And then you're able to have different widgets for each of the tools, which I think is very cool. If you look at the different things here, you're able to set the verbosity, summary. Another cool thing, you're able to display in different nodes outputs in the chat UI. So if you have multiple different nodes here, some nodes you don't want to showcase inside of the final UI, you can toggle this off. You can also show the search resources if you're doing the file search, and so on. So this is essentially what we're building here. The user will interact with the agent via the ChatKit UI, and I'll get into that in just a second. The UI will then interact with the agent builder, which has the personal assistant agent that has the tool, the MCP server tool that connects to N8N, and then we're able to connect to different actions, APIs, and sub workflows. And this is how I imagine using the agent builder in the meantime until OpenAI do more improvements to the platform. This is because the agent builder and ChatKit give us a very robust and clean interface, so we don't have to worry about the technicalities of building the UI for our agents. Another thing they did really well is adding the guardrails node for safety, PII filtering, moderations, and jailbreaking. And they do this via this node here, where we're able to basically configure all of the different entities and information about a person that we can filter out before it enters the agent. So this can be very powerful to secure the agent from PII data, jailbreaking, and also hallucinations. For example, if we're doing a RAG and the response from the agent doesn't actually align with the data retrieved from the vector store, we can add on a hallucination node to basically filter out any hallucinations, which is, I think, is very cool as well. Another thing that the agent builder does well is handling the memory across the different threads, and we don't have to worry about that side of things. The ChatKit widget is actually quite powerful, and we can create some very unique experiences for the users that are using the agent. And we can also customize the UI using the playground. However, when it comes to the functionality, this is why we're using N8N, because it has over 500 connections to different tools. We're able to actually do sequential automations that are deterministic and not always relying on the agent doing the right thing. So I believe combining the two is actually going to be very powerful to get the best of both worlds here. The only downside I see is that obviously it's another thing that we have to manage. And also by following this setup, we might introduce some latency, as we can see from the evaluations here. Just to get a response is taking 10 seconds, which is ridiculous. But I believe this is because we're using a reasoning model and also to get the responses back from the MCP tools that we've called. This could perhaps be improved by using a faster model, but it's also something to think about. Right, so to go ahead and deploy the agent inside of our front-end UI, what we want to do is first publish the agent and then hit publish. And then we want to go into code here. There's different types of ways to deploy your agent. You're able to use the agent SDK and copy this code. You either have Python or TypeScript, and you're able to integrate this inside of your front end, or you can use the ChatKit, which makes it very easy to implement. So all we need is the workflow ID. So we go ahead and copy this. I've created a very simple Next.js application where all we need is the OpenAI key and the workflow ID, and then we're able to talk with the agent. So to get it up and running, I'm just going to hit npm start, and there we have it. So this whole component is fetched from OpenAI, so we don't have to worry about the actual chat interface component, which makes it very easy to quickly spin up a demo like this. And to customize this, what you have to do is go to the playground. So if you are in the agent builder here, all you got to do is go to playground, which takes you to this. And inside of here, we're able to tweak all of the parameters, the colors, accents, the different fonts, placeholder of the initial message, and a bunch of different things that you're able to modify. And then you click on this part here and copy this code and then import it inside of your application's code. So to give it a quick run, let's first just say, all right, goes ahead, does the thinking and say, what's up? All right, so it says that it needs to call the to-do list tool to retrieve the task. There's no extra data needed. Amazing. So we can see that I need to go to the gym, edit video, and start the project client, as you can see here inside of Asana. Let's create a new task to build the client proposal. Let's see what it does. Right, for the due date, let's do... So you can see that it actually reasons before it creates the task. It's actually asking back more information. And there we go. So all set, added, and we can see also the task ID. So if I go inside of the here, all right, you can see that is set for the due date of Friday, which is amazing. So you can see how we can create something that nicely packaged. We're able to secure it with the guardrails and integrate it with N8N for the third-party integrations and more complex workflows. And this is kind of how I see this progressing for the time being. However, I believe it's only a matter of time before OpenAI integrates the different triggers and builds up the platform. If you want to quickly get up and running and build your own demo, and you want to get your hands on this complete Next.js applications code, as well as the N8N MCP server code, just to quickly help you get up and running and then build up on this, I'll be adding all of the resources inside my school community. Make sure you go ahead and sign up to that in the description down below. And with that being said, I'd love to hear your guys' thought. What do you think about the agent builder and what you're currently building with it and how you're using it? Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, I hope you find this valuable. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out a ton. Until next time, take care.